Have you ever felt like you're working harder than everyone else, but still falling behind? I mean, you wake up early, you stay up late, you pour every ounce of your energy into what you do, yet someone else seems to work half the time and still get twice the results. If you're feeling tired, burnt out, and constantly asking yourself, why isn't my hard work paying off? Then this story is for you. It might just change the way you work forever. Imagine a beautiful, sprawling farming valley. In this valley lived a 32-year-old farmer named Thomas. Thomas was a man of simple principles, and at the core of his belief system was one unwavering rule: hard work conquers all. His routine was brutal. Every single day, he was up at 4 a.m., long before the sun even thought about rising. He did everything by hand. He planted every seed one by one. He carried heavy buckets of water back and forth across his fields. He pulled every single weed himself, his knuckles raw and his back aching. No machines, no shortcuts, no help. When people asked him why he worked this way, he'd always say the same thing, with a stubborn pride in his voice: "My father did it this way, and his father before him." Hard work never fails. From the first light of dawn until the last sliver of dusk, Thomas was in his fields, toiling away. His hands were calloused and often bleeding. His back was in a constant state of pain. By the time he dragged himself home at night, he was a ghost of a man. He was too tired to eat a proper meal, too exhausted to hold a conversation with his wife, too drained to truly live. He was just surviving. His wife, Sarah, watched him with a heavy heart. She saw the light in his eyes dimming day by day. She would plead with him, "Thomas, you're destroying yourself. You can't keep this up. There has to be a better way." But Thomas was stuck in his belief. He'd shake his head and reply, "Success requires sacrifice, Sarah. I just need to work even harder. That's the only way." Now, right next to Thomas's farm lived another farmer named Richard. Richard was the same age, and his plot of land was the exact same size. But his life looked completely different. Richard worked only about 6 hours a day. He'd be done by early afternoon, spending the rest of his day reading, planning, and enjoying time with his family. But here's the thing that drove Thomas crazy. Richard somehow produced double the crops. His harvest was consistently more abundant, his produce healthier. How was this possible? Richard wasn't lazy, he was strategic. He used a smart irrigation system that watered his crops automatically. Instead of trying to grow a dozen different things, he focused on just 2 high-yield crops that were perfectly suited for the soil. He rested well, ate well, and spent time thinking and planning his next moves. The stark contrast between his own struggle and Richard's success haunted Thomas. It was a constant, nagging question in the back of his mind. What am I doing wrong? Then, a terrible drought hit the valley. The sun beat down mercilessly, and the earth grew cracked and dry. While other farmers were adjusting their systems, conserving water, and adapting, Thomas did the only thing he knew how to do. He decided to work harder. He started waking up at 3 a.m., He began fetching water from a stream much farther away, a grueling trek. He pushed himself to carry 50 heavy buckets a day, his body screaming in protest. He was running on pure, stubborn will. Until one scorching afternoon, it all came crashing down. As Thomas hoisted another bucket onto his shoulders, his vision blurred. A wave of dizziness washed over him. His legs buckled, and he collapsed, falling face first into the dusty, unforgiving dirt. The village doctor was called. After examining the exhausted farmer, the doctor delivered a chilling verdict. He looked Thomas straight in the eye and said, "If you continue like this, you won't live to see the next harvest. And it won't be because of the drought. It will be because your body will give out. You will be dead." That night, lying in bed, broken and defeated, Thomas whispered to his wife, his voice barely audible, "I did everything right. I worked harder than anyone. Why am I failing?" Sarah held his hand, her touch gentle but her words firm. "My love," she said softly, "maybe hard work isn't the only answer. Maybe it's not about working harder. Maybe it's time you learn something new." Her words struck a chord. A few days later, humbled and desperate, Thomas did something he had never considered before. He walked over to Richard's farm. He swallowed his pride and asked for help. Richard welcomed him without judgment. He didn't mock Thomas's struggle. Instead, he took him to his shed and showed him 2 axes. One was old, chipped, and incredibly dull. The other was gleaming and razor sharp. Richard handed him the dull axe. "Thomas," he said, "for years you've been trying to chop down a forest with this. You've been swinging with all your might, sweating and straining. But you're cutting less and less wood with every swing." Then he handed him the sharp axe. Working harder isn't the goal. Working effectively is. Then Richard taught Thomas 3 fundamental lessons that would change his life. First, systems over effort. He said, "Don't carry water in buckets if a pipe and a pump can do it for you. Build a system that works for you, even when you're not working." Second, focus over hustle. It's better to be a master of 2 things than a struggling amateur at 5. Find what works best and pour your energy there. And the third lesson was perhaps the most important. Rest is a strategy. A tired mind makes poor decisions. A tired body is inefficient. Rest isn't laziness. It's a crucial part of the process that allows you to come back stronger and smarter. Richard concluded, "Hard work is good, Thomas. It's essential, but hard work without strategy is just suffering. It's pointless pain." That conversation was a turning point. Thomas went back to his farm a changed man. He stopped the brutal, endless labor. He invested in an irrigation system. He stopped planting 10 different vegetables and focused on the 2 most profitable ones. He started working fewer hours. He rested. He planned. He started using his mind just as much as his body. The results were astonishing. 6 months later, at the next harvest, Thomas's farm produced 40% more than it ever had before, and he had achieved it with half the effort. For the first time in years, he had energy at the end of the day. He had time to play with his children to talk with his wife, to simply sit on his porch and enjoy the peace of the evening. He found not just more success, but more life. Now, this story isn't really about farming. It's about you. It's about me. It's about anyone who has ever felt trapped on the hamster wheel of hustle culture. Hard work is necessary. Absolutely. You can't succeed without it, but it is not, by itself, enough. The next time you feel overwhelmed and the instinct is to just work harder, to put in more hours, I want you to stop and ask yourself these questions. Can this be done smarter? Is there a tool, a technique, or a system that could make this easier? Can this be simplified? Am I overcomplicating things? Can I focus on the 20% of activities that will give me 80% of the results? And finally, can this be automated? Can I set something up to run on its own, freeing up my time and energy for more important tasks? Stop swinging a dull axe. Take the time to sharpen it. Your greatest breakthroughs, your best work, and your most fulfilling life, 1T, come when your body is broken and your spirit is exhausted. They will happen when your mind is rested, clear, and sharp. Thank you so much for watching. If this story resonated with you, please consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel for more content that helps you work smarter, not just harder. See you in the next one.